Is Cam Coleman going to become the best wide receiver that Texas has enjoyed since Xavier Worthy in 2023? Let's talk about one of the things I think Cam Coleman can do that only 3 Texas wide receivers have accomplished in the past 15 years, and how much better this is probably going to make Arch Manning after what is really a great year as a first-time starter. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year-round. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that Cam Coleman can become the most impactful transfer in college football, or even just in the SEC in 2026? Because I think he's being positioned to do that. For those of you that are just catching up to Cam Coleman and his heroics, this was the second best wide receiver in the state of Alabama out of high school, behind Ryan Williams, and one of the best wide receivers in the country out of high school. Also a Mr. Alabama football when Ryan Williams doesn't win it. We're also talking about a guy that chose Auburn instead of Alabama. It's kind of intoxicating to think about what would have happened if both Jalen Milroe and Cam Coleman had decided to be freshmen for the Tide. Jalen Milroe, excuse me. If Ryan Williams and Cam Coleman had decided to be freshman wide receivers for the Tide, Jalen Milroe's last year, to say nothing of what they might be able to do in 2025 had they been there when Ty Simpson was there together. I know Ryan Williams had a sophomore slumps, but you should understand my point. That's the kind of talent that Coleman had. And toward the second half of the season, especially when Ashton Daniels got to spinning it, you could see that really come to the fore because he didn't have the service from Jackson Arnold that he needed to have in 2025, the first half of the season, to be successful. That said, he had more than 50 catches, 700 yards receiving. That's a really great year as a sophomore, but it is not the kind of output and production that you would expect from a talent like Cam Coleman, and not what he would expect from Byron Brown, who's coming in to run Alex Galesh's offense. Could he have been? Sure. But also, in this age of the money just continuing to go up and Texas having a need at wide receiver, you just got to go do that. Now you have Cam Coleman alongside Ryan Wingo, which I think can be a really devastating combination for Arch Manning, who, now that we've been removed from the season for a few weeks, I take a look at the overall body of work. He's so much better in the second half than he is in the first half of the season, and it's not really close. The game that he played against A&M, the game that he played against Michigan, these are the kind of games that I think we expected him to play week 1 against Ohio State. First time as a starter, really playing catch up, wasn't able to see the coverages as they were happening, was late with his passes and really had to pull it down, make something happen. And you can't unsee that game they played against Florida. That said, he was outstanding against Oklahoma too, and I don't want to put that on the back burner. That was a really great performance from him. But the 3,100 yards he threw for and the 26 TDs, that looks pretty damn good from where I'm sitting for a guy that had not been a starter until this season at this level. Now you're getting him reinforcements. You've added Relief Brown and Hollywood Smothers to the backfield, hoping that you have a run game this season where you just didn't last year. Steve Sarkisian not having a 1,000-yard tailback, even more uncommon than Texas not having a 1,000-yard wide receiver, which is also where I'm taking this. Since 2018, Texas has had just 3 receivers with 1,000 yards receiving in a single season. Lil Jordan Humphrey in 2018, who just got bounced out of the ACC championship game with Denver Broncos. Really great resurgence in his career with Sean Payton, Bo Nix, and the like. Then, talking about Devin Duvernay, 2019, one of the great seasons in Big 12 history. I want to say 106 receptions, 1,386 yards. Fantastic. People forget about that season because, well, it's Tom Herman and it's Sam Ehlinger and, what have you. Then you get to Worthy in 2023. And you could see the first-round talent that he was. Take the top off the defense, throw it deep, and could get remarkable service from Quinn Ewers, who the more we get away from his time at Texas, the more I think Longhorn fans are going to come to appreciate it in a totally different light. Winning the Big 12 championship, making the college football playoff, getting to the SEC championship game, making the college football playoff. 7th round quarterback selection, I think he's better than that. I think if he ever gets a chance to play high-level football, he can do what others have done, notably Brock Purdy. Sam Darnold bounced back from being a first-round pick to nobody, chasing ghosts to the Jets, to he's going to be playing quarterback in the Super Bowl, and you would make the argument nobody's had a run of form like he's having at Seattle, even as Matthew Stafford probably should walk away with the MVP. The season that dude put together at 37 years old is just bonkers. In a career of Matt Stafford having these 4,500 and 5,000 yard passing seasons, just being on these teams that have been great and doing it without Cooper Kupp, but with Puka Nacua. I feel for Devontae Adams, as an aside, 5 consecutive bounces out of the league championship game before getting the Super Bowl. It sounds like that dude's just never going to get there. I want him to, but this sucks. All of this is to say, Arch Manning was supposed to be better than Quinn Ewers, and I still think he might be when we all get done with this. Given his ability to run with the ball and to take off and make plays off structure, his coachability, and how much Steve Sarkisian believes in his ability, I expect he is going to form a formidable partnership with Ryan Wingo and Cam Coleman. Wingo has not been as productive as we would have hoped, although I would make the argument when you need to have an 80-yard pass bomb, Wingo is the guy you're going to go looking for. Is Coleman going to be more of a possession receiver? Is he going to get a lot of targets? No, honestly. But given how much Texas is willing to spend on a wide receiver, and given the need that they have at the position, and knowing what Coleman is capable of, I think he can be the most impactful transfer in college football this season, because Texas is in position to get back to the college football playoff. They will be highly ranked going into the preseason. If they win games, they will stay there. And most people will tell you that Texas is always talented enough to win a national championship. It has been really, really hard for them to do that, though. 21 years since Vince Young, right? 2005, Rose Bowl against a team that everybody thought was unbeatable. And 2009 is the last time they played for the national championship game. So knowing that we've had some really huge transfers in this cycle, though, Sam Leavitt at LSU could be that person. If he gets LSU to the playoff for the first time since 2019, yeah, he probably is going to get that moniker. It's going to be difficult for Jordan Seaton to be that dude, especially if Sam Leavitt plays as well as he does, because part of that would be Jordan Seaton blocking. Other guys that I think could make a splash there, Malik Brown, if he could be a 1,500-yard rusher, we're talking about it. But for the time being, I'm willing to bet on Cam being there at the end if he gets the service, because he screams to me a guy that's going to have 90 catches, 1,200 yards, 12, 13 TDs, which puts him on par with Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, who has back-to-back seasons of more than 1,200 yards and more than 76 catches and double-digit touchdowns. If Cam Coleman ends up being the second best wide receiver in the country behind Jeremiah Smith, then yeah, he's the most impactful transfer of 2026, even if Jeremiah Smith continues to be the best player in college football, which I don't see changing. So if I'm going to stack up Jeremiah Smith versus Cam Coleman, I'm always going to take Jeremiah Smith. However, if you're Texas, you really wouldn't have to see that stacked up until you get to the playoff. And right now, that is their aim. Get to the playoff, make this offense into one that is explosive and can hurt people. And I think Cam Coleman gives them a great opportunity to do that in what is Arch Manning's prove-it year for perhaps contending for the Heisman Trophy.